Crypto kids, welcome back to another live stream. Today, it's going to be incredibly important because why? We're going to be going through what exactly happened today. As you guys know, Bitcoin had a drastic fall, all the way from $45,500 down to $40,000 on some exchanges. Now, there is a wide speculation on why this is happening, including the report from, I believe it was called, what was it, Maxi report? If we just have a quick look at it, it's not because of that, right? It's not because of that. That's the common misconception. There are multiple factors that we need to discuss into why this dump is happening overall. So if you're on YouTube or watching it live on Twitter, make sure to leave a like on this stream. I don't know how it exactly works on Twitter, but if you can leave a like, subscribe, turn on the notification bell, that would be very much appreciated. It is a school night tonight. I'm not planning on staying up too long. Otherwise, I'll probably not end up waking up for school, but we will go through everything that we need to discuss today. So let's start off, right? We have this trade going on, by the way, on Bitflex right now. If you are a long-term viewer of the channel, you would already know that we had active limit long positions over on Bitcoin. And as you can see, we have an entry price on this position at $40,570, which is incredible. We basically bought almost the bottom and it's fantastic, currently in 76% profits. And guys, if you are looking for a place to trade Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies, you can head over to the description of this video or live stream, depending on when you're watching it, and sign up to Bitflex using this link to now get up to $88,888 worth in prizes and bonuses. But let's jump into why this dump is happening. Are you guys ready? Guys, just in, my Uber driver said he heard from his uncle's best friend that the Bitcoin Spot ETF may get denied. This is why Bitcoin is dumping to 40,000 US dollars. But no, of course, guys, of course, this is not the reason why Bitcoin is falling. This is not the reason why Bitcoin is falling, of course. If you can let me know in the comment section, by the way, if the stream is good, if everything is good, can you hear me all right? That would be very much appreciated. But no, guys, this is not the reason why Bitcoin is falling. Don't worry about it. The reason why Bitcoin is falling is due to this. Well, this is the common misconception. People think that due to the Matrix port, which is an independent journalist organization, I think they do journalism primarily, they do insights into Bitcoin and what's happening kind of there. They're not super popular, but they think that Bitcoin Spot ETFs are not going to be approved. And this was just a normal article, a normal insight report published. And as I said, they're not followed by too many people. And this is just not the reason why Bitcoin is dumped or has dumped overall. The reason is not this. The reason for the actual dump that has occurred over the past couple of hours is due to the funding rates. Now, we've discussed the funding rates and how high they were in many videos now. And the funding rates, as you can see, now shifted to some are in the negative even. So we've seen a massive shift from incredibly high funding rates to now negative funding rates. And how does this impact the price of Bitcoin? We'll get to in a sec, including a lot of technical analysis. But just to cover this, right? So Matrix Port is an independent organization. They provide insights into what's happening with Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. And they posted this article or insight report saying that the ETFs are not going to get approved. And what the entire crypto community did was they blamed the dump on this particular report. But the truth is, the reason for the dump is not because of this report. The reason for the dump is, number one, due to the funding rates, because as the funding rates increase towards the upside, it becomes more expensive to long position holders to maintain their long positions. And additionally, the retail FOMO. Now I'm going to, when you scroll your phone on Apple, you see the Apple News, right? You scroll your phone, you see the top headlines, Bitcoin is pumping. You go to MarketWatch, you go to CNBC, Bitcoin is pumping. Bitcoin is back to $45,000 again. Oh, our targets for Bitcoin are now $200,000. That's the thing that's going on. Mainstream media is FOMOing again. Once again, they're FOMOing. They're saying that the volume is low. Let's try and increasing the volume. I think the volume is low. So if I maybe bring my laptop a bit closer, that should help. So I hope that's fine. I hope the volume is a bit better now. But what's been going on is that the mainstream media have been hyping up Bitcoin so much now. It's actually crazy. It is actually crazy. And everybody's asking, was the ETF approved? No, it's not been approved. This is the common misconception. It's not been approved or it's not been denied. This was just an article posted by a low-key independent organization, and I think they were just pinned the blame the blame for the actual dump itself. So look at this, right? They even posted a daily insight on the 2nd of January saying Bitcoin spot ETF approval imminent, Bitcoin will jump to $50,000. And guess what? Immediately a day after, you can see that, or not even a day after, just a couple of hours after, they said that the SEC will reject the Bitcoin spot ETFs once again. That was the kind of organization that was posting these, and I think it's very wrong to blame them for the actual dump itself. And guys, by the way, I did put my stop loss to just over break even here, if you guys are wondering what's happening with my trade, but we're still currently in 76% profits. So as I was saying, the real reason for the dump that we had on Bitcoin was due to the funding rates. Now, the funding rates actually went all the way up to 0.1%. And just to put it on the just to put it on perspective, if you have, let's say, $1,000 position, if you had $1,000 long position, basically every 8 hours or so, you would be paying 0.1% of that total trade, so the $1,000 in terms of unrealized losses. So you'd be paying approximately you would be paying about per day like $20 to $25 on a $1,000 trade. That doesn't sound much, but if you have a $10,000 trade, that's like $250, $300. A $100,000 trade, that's like $2,500 to $3,000 US. That's the difference. That's why the funding rates are super, super important. And remember, it's from the leverage sum. You're not paying the funding rates from the initial margin that you put in. So let's say you did $1,000 with 10x leverage. You're not doing the $1,000. You're not paying 0.1% from the $1,000. You're paying it from the $10,000. And that's why the markets, they were forced to close their long positions, and that's why we saw this dump and this correction towards the downside. Now, shortly we will dump into the TA. What I expect will happen to Bitcoin in the upcoming hours and days. We're still actually in this ascending triangle, and as you can see on the thumbnail itself, we have the ascending triangle on the actual thumbnail. I'll get into what I think will happen there. Bitcoin is currently at very important support, and we just have a lot of charts to cover. This prediction on what I thought will happen during this 48-hour period where we had rumors that the SEC would notify the Bitcoin spot ETF issuers whether they're approved or not. I mentioned that Bitcoin, well, coming up to it, we could hit $46,000. We had 45.5K was the top, which was the target of this, the first target of this parallel channel. And then we could move down potentially to even $38,000. I'm going to mention if I think this is still valid on this live stream. So make sure to watch until the end and make sure to stay tuned until the end. I said that already. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you haven't already. That would be very much appreciated. But going back into the breaking news, what else do we have? What else caused this dump towards the downside? And what is all the speculation regarding the ETFs? Is it going to be approved? When is it going to be approved? When do we need to look out for? And what's actually going to happen to the market? Well, there's been two massive players in the ETF space on Twitter currently. We've had Eric Balkunas, and there is another guy. And these two guys have been the saviors right now on Twitter, telling us everything that is going on in the space on when's going to happen, when the ETFs are going to happen, when they're going to get approved, etc. And these two individuals are the people that I trust the most right now regarding ETF information. So everybody's been tagging, regarding this report, if it's true, if it's not. And Eric has been saying here that we have heard nothing to indicate anything but approval. But I want to give the guy benefit of the doubt, so I'm asking if he has any sources or if he's just speculating. He seems to be Bitcoin bull and recently tweeted executives said approval likely, so unsure why he flipped. This was the main question. Look, over here, they said literally, like within a matter of hours, they said the Bitcoin spot ETF approval is imminent and Bitcoin can jump to $50,000. And then just a couple of hours after, they say why the SEC will reject the Bitcoin spot ETFs again. So that was the main question, but we did cover why this is not the actual reason for the dump, and it's kind of pinpointed to them a bit unfairly. It's more to do with technical analysis at the moment rather than the fundamental analysis itself. And that's basically it. That was the report that supposedly caused the dump towards the downside. And the owner of the organization themselves, right? So I think his name is Jihan. So Jihan actually posted this tweet to reply back to everybody saying the Matrix report was the reason why Bitcoin fell towards the downside. And he explains here that they're, an independent organization and they're just expressing their own opinions and views without any influence or interference from management, etc. And you can see here that it only has like 161 likes. And just from this, you can tell that this is not the reason why Bitcoin saw the dump towards the downside. And it's more based on the funding rates itself and that the market was a bit overexhausted and required a retracement back down. So I did some research. So it's been 4 to 5 hours since I posted this video here, just doing an emergency update on what I'm doing with my trades and an emergency technical analysis update. And since the past 4 or 5 hours, I've been just researching why this dump has been happening and what can we expect next coming up towards the ETF approvals and after. So I did some digging on Wu Jihan, the person behind Matrix Report, and he's actually also the co-founder of Bitmain. Now, Bitmain is a massive blockchain mining company, primarily based in actually the United Arab Emirates. So it is a pretty prestigious, I would say, prestigious mining company. And I just think it's been a bit unfortunate that the analysts have made a good prediction and a bad prediction at the exact same day, just with a couple of hours in between them. But honestly, the dump has not been happening because of that, but because of this. So you can see here that the open interest was mooning with historically high funding rates to be long, 66% annualized yesterday. And we just saw $500 million in liquidations, and 95% of them were longs in under an hour. And that degens were basically going to degen. So we had massive liquidations. We had the funding rates at massive, basically near all-time highs. And that's why the Bitcoin price dropped towards the downside. But another reason why I believe the Bitcoin price actually began to drop was because of Michael Saylor. So just a couple of hours ago, Michael Saylor released on the SEC report that he would dump around $215 million in the company's shares. And this would be the most that he has sold ever in MicroStrategy's history. Now, as we can see on the MicroStrategy price, and a shout out to Carl, by the way, thank you for watching the stream, very much appreciated. We can see that MicroStrategy has dumped almost by 8% in the last 24 hours. And the reason for this is, of course, the price of Bitcoin. In previous streams and in previous videos, I mentioned why actually buying MicroStrategy stock may be a better idea than buying the actual Bitcoin ETFs, because MicroStrategy in the long term has the only mission of accumulating more Bitcoin. So technically, to your dollar that you put into the MicroStrategy stock, or the same dollar that you put into the ETFs, the ratio of how much Bitcoin you get compared to the dollar you pay for the asset is way higher when you buy MicroStrategy. But this makes me concerned. This actually does make me concerned that he's selling $216 million worth of the company's shares. Now, if I were Michael Saylor, what would have I done? Would have I sold 315,000 of the company's shares from his total of 12.5 million, I believe, of his outstanding shares? Would have I done it? Personally, it is a good time to take profit. Look, in all honesty, it is a good time to be taking some profit off of the table. He's not doing this. He's not selling Bitcoin. He's selling shares of his own company. So don't fall into that misconception. And the reason why he's probably doing this is because we've started the new fiscal, we're close to starting the new fiscal year. And it may be due to, tax. He wants to, pay off tax, or he has individual payments to make. So there could be a dozen different things that he's actually selling his MicroStrategy shares to. It's not because he's bearish on Bitcoin. It's because he may need the capital to pay off other things, which is completely normal. So the dump may be a misconception that Michael Saylor is actually selling his Bitcoin. Rather, he's selling his own company's shares. That doesn't impact the price of Bitcoin at all. So that's something that I also wanted to clear up. But I think the main reason, well, this is not the main reason. I think it's a beautiful coincidence, but Jim Kramer, just 2 days ago, in fact, yesterday, he said, so he said that, I'm not going to turn the volume now. It's not the highest of quality, the video, but he said that Bitcoin is here to stay and nobody's going to kill it. That was the main gist of what he said on CNBC Live. And if we have a look at Jim Kramer's history of what he said for Bitcoin, what he's expected for Bitcoin, the exact inverse has happened on the Bitcoin price. And I actually mentioned here, literally yesterday, well, I guess it's a time to sell. And guess what? Literally 24 hours after, not even, Bitcoin dumped by 6.5%. Of course, I said it as a joke, but it's just scary how accurate this guy is in terms of predicting the Bitcoin price in the exact opposite direction. So look, he said back in back in 2022, expresses skepticism about Bitcoin's future, suggests exploring other investments. Bitcoin is at 22.1K. Look, fair enough. We fell from 22.1 all the way to 16.9. Then in December 5th, he strongly urges viewers to sell all of his crypto holdings, including Bitcoin, post the FTX collapse. And we were basically at the bottom at $16,900. But I'll give it to him, right? Since June to December, we did fall, right? I'll give that to him. But after December, the exact bottom, when he tells people to sell at 16.9K, all Bitcoin does is go up. Look, January 10th, he says that he's still has a bearish view on Bitcoin due to regulatory concerns and macroeconomic factors. Bitcoin is up approximately a couple $100 since then. April 2023 suggests Bitcoin could fall further and advises against buying. Now, at this point, we're basically double the price of Bitcoin already, right? Bitcoin is already doubled in value. And guess what? November 21st of last year, he takes a neutral stance. He says that, you know what, if you like Bitcoin, just buy Bitcoin. At this point in time, we're at $35,700. So we've almost tripled in value. And now, ladies and gents, yesterday he says that, you know what, you can't kill Bitcoin and it's here to stay. $45,200. And not even 24 hours later, Bitcoin falls by 5K. I think it's just funny. And you know what? If inverse Kramer ETF was a thing, I would be putting all of my money into it. Now, we've been seeing from Fox Business, this journalist at Fox Business, that the SEC is very unpredictable and they may surprise us with an approval of the ETFs tomorrow. But look, we've had Eric, which I mentioned earlier on in the stream, is the guy to look out for when commenting on when the ETFs are going to get approved, when is the launch windows, etc. That's the guy that everybody's been following, and he's directly a journalist for Bloomberg. He's in fact an analyst at Bloomberg. And we can see here that she's also mentioned that the SEC is holding meetings today with the exchanges NASDAQ, CBOE, and the New York Stock Exchange to finalize comments on the 19B4S submitted by the Bitcoin Spot ETF issuers today. Now, you can see here that his comments were things you probably don't do if you're going to deny or delay, right? So hearing similar, by the way, and why when we see, okay, so I guess his English is not the best, but he's saying that the final updates roll okay, I can't speak. He says that the final updates that have rolled in is a sign of approval being imminent, as the SEC has been doing back and forth with issuers offline to perfect their 19B4s VS, doing numerous refilings. Okay, he needs to maybe go back on his English, but in summary, it's not something that you do when you want to approve or deny an ETF. Rather, it's something that you do. I don't know what he says there. Look, I think we just got to stick to the approval window. I think James is the other guy. I completely agree with him. Let's ignore the noise. Let's ignore Fox Business. Let's even ignore Eric at this point. Let's go to James. And James is saying that the original Bitcoin ETF approval window is between the 8th to 10th of January. And that's been the window that everybody's been watching. That's been the official window for such a long time now. And we still have another 5 to 7 days for the approval window to be closed, opened, and closed. And this is the time where we want to be concentrating. So if we see, yes, Bitcoin spot ETFs are going to be on the market next week on the 8th of January. And that's the news that's been circulating around from trustable sources on Twitter, on mainstream media outlets. Then we can say, okay, these spot ETFs are approved and they're ready to go. If they say, no, we're going to delay it another time, or if they say, it's very unlikely that they say, oh, no, it's not going to happen. But if they want to delay it again, that's also the time period that we'll be looking out for. So everything that you hear from now until the 8th to the 10th of January, it's not 100% accurate. That's what we can tell. 8th to 10th of January is going to be the most important time frame that we look out for, whether if a Bitcoin spot ETF or the total ETFs as a collective is approved or not. So that's another update. That's the latest update that we have with the current Bitcoin spot ETFs. We also have Jason saying that BlackRock is reportedly planning to acquire $10 million worth of Bitcoin, which we've mentioned in previous videos already. Today was the day that they were going to seed publicly $10 million worth of Bitcoin, meaning that they're basically going to buy up from the market 10 million BTC to add it to their basket of holdings. Quick water break. This room is so hot. I wish I turned on the AC, but I was worried that the microphone was going to pick it up. But anyways, so this was the initial funding, but of course we know that in the macro time frame, BlackRock and all of these ETF guys have been buying up Bitcoin for months and months and months and weeks and weeks and weeks. Of course, they're not going to announce exactly when they're buying it or when they're selling it, because that would create too much market volatility. However, we know for a fact that today they're going to be buying $10 million worth of Bitcoin. James then goes on to say, oh, we got two ahead there. That is a little bit of a teaser of what we'll get into next. He said that reportedly this purchase may be delayed until the January 5th, so that's in 2 days. So look, it's not a big deal when they buy $10 million worth of Bitcoin. Bitcoin is at a point as an asset where $10 million is not going to even move the price almost at all. So it's just bullish that BlackRock is buying. Of course, that's the entire narrative behind it, not the actual sum of Bitcoin that they're purchasing, but that BlackRock is buying Bitcoin publicly. So it doesn't really matter if they're going to end up buying it today or in 2 days, it's going to be the same deal. Ladies and gents, before we continue any further, we just need to wish Bitcoin a very happy 15th birthday. Today, Bitcoin turned 15. And I know I'm 16 years old, so I'm basically that's how I remember it. I'm 1 year older than Bitcoin. And we can see here in January 3rd of now, I think it was 2010, right? So 2009, we had the Genesis block mined on Bitcoin. And this was the first ever Bitcoin block mined by Satoshi Nakamoto himself. So a very, very happy birthday to Bitcoin and wishing it many, many more years ahead. And this is just something that I wanted to mention because this is one of the most important on-chain data that we need to be considering right now. So the amount of short-term and long-term holders accumulating in the market is at a very critical point, because you can see at this point over here, this final bit in the chart, both short-term and long-term holders are buying up Bitcoin, and this is something that doesn't happen a lot. So this happens when both long-term investors believe that Bitcoin's price will of course go higher in the future, and they think that even though the price is increasing, it's still a good idea to be buying due to the fact that price may increase even more than where we're at right now. And short-term buyers, of course, want to take advantage of the current volatility. Now, when both of these guys buy at the same time, it's usually a very good sign because both individuals are not planning on selling. Because what happens is short-term buyers sell and long-term buyers accumulate, and then the vice versa happens. But when both end up buying, including the ETF holders, including institutional financial corporations, when they also end up buying, there's just too much demand for Bitcoin. And coming up towards a halving, when there's going to be a drastic cut in supply in the market, daily available Bitcoin in the market, there's going to be a massive supply shortage. And once you look at fundamental economics, when there is a shortage in supply and an excess in demand, the price of an asset should go up. There's also something called the network effect, which I definitely recommend reading on, I think it was on Harvard or Wharton. It was one of the two universities. They wrote a piece on the network effect. And in summary, it's when individuals use a particular service or product, and due to the inflow of people actually using the good, the price of it increases. So think of it as more people use Bitcoin on daily transactions, the price of Bitcoin should also hypothetically increase towards the upside. And with that happening, as the United States has reached a $34 trillion national debt, a record. I think many countries around the world are going to go in economic pressure in this year, in particular in 2024. And as we know, whenever this happens, Bitcoin does tend to see a price move towards the upside. We've already seen massive economies like Argentina start using Bitcoin as legal tender in certain places in government. And I just think that this is going to get bigger and bigger. We're going to see more and more countries adopting Bitcoin, millions and millions of people using Bitcoin. And wow, that was a very big wick towards, wow, we came down to $41,600 and then we just bounced back to 42.2K. Bitcoin is having a wild one. Honestly, I've not seen Bitcoin do such things in terms of a super short amount of time, like go decrease by so much per 7% and then go up by 7%. It's been a while. Like we've been in a very choppy market for the past month or so, and in crypto years, that's like years, right? So in crypto years, that's years. A month is a lot in crypto, honestly. It feels like this consolidation phase has been going on for at least like 2 years of my life. But yeah, Bitcoin is back to those volatile times, and as traders, it's beautiful because the worst time in crypto is when you're just going sideways. There's no volume in the market, there's nothing happening, and when that does happen, it's just very boring. So whether Bitcoin goes down or up, it's fine. Of course, we prefer Bitcoin going up, but going down is also better than going in a sideways market, just so that we can trade it. And just to reiterate, I do have my stop loss at break even, just over break even. So if Bitcoin does decide to close this wick here, I will be out of this trade and looking to buy Bitcoin for cheaper. Now, going into some of the final news, and then we'll jump into just pure technical analysis. The USDC price, the price of USDC over on Binance, fell down to 0.76 compared to USDT. And this was pretty big. I mean, look at that. We've fallen down like crazy. So the price of USDC depegged at a tremendous rate over on Binance. And when I checked it with Bybit, we can see that on Bybit, it only went down to 97 cents. So there's nothing to panic about. USDC isn't going anywhere. This could just be a bug on the charts, which usually happens on Binance. We've seen it a lot, even on Bitcoin. So I wouldn't worry about it too much, but it's just something that I wanted to point out in case you were wondering why USDC depegged against USDT. And finally, guys, this was the last time that we saw the depeg. It was back in, I believe it was back in the FTX days. It's been a while now. We can see over on the liquidity heat map that Bitcoin has the largest amount of liquidity now at $34,000. As you guys know, I've been mentioning at 34K, Bitcoin has approximately $4.5 billion in liquidation leverage, but this sum has increased to $5 billion. And historically speaking, Bitcoin likes to move to areas where there is a lot of liquidity. For example, 44.6K, which was the exact target we put for Bitcoin once we broke out of the descending broadening wedge just a couple of days ago. So if I switch into the TradingView chart right now, we can see that the target for this descending broadening wedge, if you go back on previous videos too, was 44.6K. I think it's on my other chart. So if I just go to the chart where we had the predictions for what's going to happen to Bitcoin coming up and towards the ETF approvals and after it, over here I put 44.6K because we had 4 billion in liquidations, and I mentioned that Bitcoin would likely hit it, see a wick towards the upside just over it, and then see a dump back down. So far we're playing this scenario exactly, and 38K is the next level of support before coming down potentially to $34,000, where there is now not 4.5 billion in liquidations but 5 billion in liquidations. So that's $500 million higher, which is a tremendous increase. It may not sound like a lot, but for an asset like Bitcoin with a market cap of $800 billion, that is a lot of money, and it is surely enough to attract Bitcoin back to that price. However, I definitely think so that Bitcoin, if we fall down to 34K once again, that would be the last time that we see the 30s ever for Bitcoin again. Like we're not going to hit the 30K range in many years, because if we go to the parabolas and the different Bitcoin halving cycles, you can see that in each cycle, Bitcoin has this parabolic increase up, and we never end up breaking the parabola towards the downside. We only broke it once, and this was during the COVID situation. And that was just an external factor that nobody could have predicted. But other than that, Bitcoin is pretty much within this parabola until we go past the all-time high, make a higher high, and then we see a drop towards the downside. So if you're asking, what is my target for the end of this bull market? Well, it's going to be $90,000 to $95,000. And are we going to see a more significant reversal? Well, it's possible, right? So towards the 34K level, but after that, Bitcoin will go above the all-time high. We will touch the logarithmic curve, which is approximately just in the middle of the range that I mentioned at $92,600. And if we manage to break above this logarithmic curve, then Bitcoin will enter into a super cycle. Now, if we enter into a super cycle, then it's possible to go up to $1 million. It's going to be possible. The question is it going to be happening in this cycle or the next one? Well, theoretically, if we just approach it from technical analysis perspective, it would be very likely that Bitcoin does it in this cycle. Once we look at the 12-month chart, so each of these candles represent 1 year, we can see that Bitcoin goes up for 4 candles on its first ever bull cycle. Then we see a drop by 1 red candle. After seeing the drop, Bitcoin goes up by 3 green candles, sees 1 red decline, another 3 candle increase, and a 1 red decline. Now, what you could assume here is that Bitcoin will have 2 higher candles. And if Bitcoin does end up following this structure, then we would be breaking this logarithmic curve, and Bitcoin can see a 1,000% increase to $1 million. I think it's possible, but it will all depend on breaking above this $92,500 level. I will be taking profits at 92.5K, don't get me wrong, but I'm not going to be taking 100% profits, maybe 30% profits, leaving the 70% in and waiting to see if Bitcoin will able to touch $1 million. And if we do, that is, ladies and gents, the time to sell. I am telling you this. Of course, nothing in this stream is financial advice, but if Bitcoin is at $1 million, not taking profit, that would probably be a mistake. Going into Ethereum, Ethereum is having a beautiful test back to this line of resistance once again. And I honestly think with the correct amount of volume, and if Bitcoin, look, if we see a drop to 34K, of course, Ethereum is also going to see a drop towards the downside. But if Ethereum is managing to hold this line of resistance, previous resistance, then we may see Ethereum reaching $3,500 not in too long duration of a time. As you guys know, in every cycle, capital flows from Bitcoin to Ethereum and then into altcoins. And if we follow the exact same structure in this cycle, then I think 3.5K for Ethereum is very much possible. And this is a trade that I have set up, which I've not actually put in the order yet on Bitflex. It could be something that we do on the stream now, but I want to hear from you. Do you think Ethereum can hit $3,500, or do you think it is something that won't actually happen? Let me know in the comment section what do you guys think. And I am going to look at your comments now. So it would be amazing if we can hit 200 likes on the stream. It is a school night. It's 11 p.m. currently. I need to wake up at 6 a.m. to go to school. But I am bringing the stream to you in this incredibly hot room for some reason because I forgot to turn on the air conditioning. So a like would be very much appreciated. If we can hit 200 likes, that would be fabulous. But just going through the news again for everybody's that's just joining into the stream. The reason for the dump towards the downside is not because of this matrix report due to the Bitcoin spot ETFs not getting approved. No, it's because that my Uber driver said that he heard from his uncle's best friend that the spot Bitcoin ETFs may get denied. No, this is of course a joke. This was a very funny joke when we first opened up the stream. Now it's not too funny anymore because it's kind of dead, but yeah, I just thought I would try my luck with it once more. But moving on. Yeah, as you can see, it's not too accurate. They've posted literally with a 2-hour gap only approximately that the Bitcoin spot ETF's approval were imminent and then that Bitcoin would jump to $50,000. And shortly after, they post a report saying why the SEC will reject the Bitcoin spot ETFs again. And it's just not the reason why we've seen the dump due to them not being actually that influential in the crypto space. Not many people follow them. So that them specifically did not cause the dump. Rather, we saw the funding rates, which were at extreme highs for Bitcoin, causing long positions to, end up closing their positions because it was going into the negative now. It started going into the negative. And that's why we saw long positions closing and the market seeing a reversal back down. Now, the funding rates look much, much, much more healthier. We can see even over on OKX now, the funding rates are negative. So now you're profiting immediately when you open a long position. This was not the case just a couple of hours ago. So that was what we looked at the beginning of the stream. Then we went into when the ETFs are really going to get approved. And this is going to be between the 8th to the 10th of January. That's the window that we need to stay put to because that was the official window that was basically announced just a couple of months back. So if we get the news that Bitcoin is going to have its ETFs approved on the 8th to 10th of January, then I will trust it more than whatever is going on right now. But if we see something else coming up before this, then I will approach it with skepticism and do my own research first, just like I did before this live stream to bring the correct information to you. But yeah, 8th to 10th of January is the point to be on the lookout for. Michael Saylor the news has been going around saying that Michael Saylor is selling his Bitcoin. That's not the fact. Michael Saylor is selling $260 million of his company's shares, not Bitcoin. Of course, it's not amazing, but it's not Bitcoin. And that's the common misconception. So if you think that Michael Saylor is selling his Bitcoin, it's wrong. He's selling MicroStrategy shares, which I think is a good move from him because in my opinion, it is a good time to be taking profits. I mean, if you look at the MicroStrategy stock, we've not been at these levels ever since 2021. And his company may have the requirement to pay taxes or bills, whatever, and he can very easily do this now by taking profits and of course use that capital to pay off whatever he needs to. But we are down by 8.5%. In the macro scale, I definitely think it would be wiser personally to buy MicroStrategy shares compared to buying Bitcoin spot ETFs because you get more Bitcoin per dollar that you spend on the share itself. So I am in the long term more bullish on MicroStrategy shares compared to the Bitcoin spot ETFs. So that's what we got into. We also talked about the inverse Kramer ETF and how it works like a charm because in Jim Cramer's history, he's been wrong, absolutely wrong every single time. And whenever he says something other than June 14th of 2022, where he got lucky once, Bitcoin has done the exact opposite thing. And that's what happened just yesterday. He was saying that well, Bitcoin, it's a time that, you know, it's going to stay, and it's nothing's going to kill Bitcoin. And he says this, and immediately after we see a 5,000 drop towards the downside. And that was just the beauty of the inverse Kramer ETF. It's definitely not a reason for why we actually had the dump. He's just an unlucky man. That's what I would say. He's an unlucky man when it comes to Bitcoin. But that's it. That's basically all the news that we got over in the stream, and we kind of covered exactly why stuff is happening and what we should not be scared of and what we should be on the lookout for. Bitcoin's birthday is also today. It's turning 15, so a very happy birthday to Bitcoin. USDC had a brief depeg over on Binance, but I do think that this is a mistake on the chart itself. I don't think that Bitcoin actually dropped that much, because if we go into Bybit, we can see that USDC did have a depeg, but only to 97 cents compared to the 76 depeg over on Binance. But the next level of massive liquidations for Bitcoin is sitting at the $34,000 level, which is why if the ETFs are both approved or denied, it is very possible that Bitcoin sees a reversal back to the 34K level and then sees a continuation of its pump coming up towards the halving, because that would just be the very healthy thing to do in my opinion. And so far, this chart is playing exactly how we discussed. And a brief comparison also to the 2017 Bitcoin CME launch, which was the first ever financial instrument that enabled institutional investors to get exposure into Bitcoin. We saw the launch and Bitcoin dumped by 70% towards the downside. I do not think Bitcoin will dump 70% because we saw a 220% increase in this scenario. So in relative to that, I think a dump to 34K is possible, and it would be healthy to keep us going back towards the all-time highs and even past $90,000 to $95,000. And just in case Bitcoin does end up moving higher from here, because we're still in technically a bullish pennant on the weekly time frame, maybe not on the daily or 4-hourly time frames, but on the weekly time frame, Bitcoin is still in a bullish pennant like so. So if I switch over to the weekly chart, you can see that Bitcoin, you can still say, is forming a bullish pennant here, which is why we're in this long position that we entered at $40,570. It's at currently 70% profits, which is amazing. I have my stop loss just over break even in case Bitcoin does decide to have a further reversal down. And if you do want to be trading Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, you can head over to the description below to now get up to $88,888 worth in prizes and bonuses once you sign up to this link here to trade on Bitflex. And if you don't know how to trade and don't know how to set orders or how an exchange overall works, I would definitely recommend checking out this video, because it was something that was super hard for me to learn when I first started my crypto journey too. So I prepared this super simple, easy video to learn how to trade, how everything works, and you can check it out. It's 10 minutes long, so it won't take too much of your time, but will definitely add a lot of value in terms of your ROI on the YouTube video, the average YouTube video that you watch. Now, what I wanted to also get into was the FOMC meeting minutes that was announced, well, just 10 minutes ago. And let's see how it turned out. I think it was, let's see, I think we can have a look at this. This is the latest news, so 8 minutes ago. FOMC minutes, the participants viewed policy rate as likely at or near its peak. All officials said clear progress made in 2023 towards Fed's 2% inflation target. FOMC minutes, officials judged that GDP growth would be cool, labor market rebalancing would. So if we press show more, we can see the entire tweet here. This is the complete summary of the FOMC minutes itself. Let's leave it a like. We can see that the rebalancing would continue in 2024. Officials viewed risks to inflation, employment moving toward greater balance. Most participants expected restrictive policy stance to continue to soften spending and reduce inflation. So this is quite bearish, actually. This is a very, very bearish it's a very bearish FOMC minutes report, and it could cause, well, let's see what it's doing right now. Is the S&P falling? Yes, baby, it is falling. And if you remember, we were mentioning a couple of videos ago, like I think in every single video since the past week, we've been saying that the S&P is due for a reversal. This is a candle that indicates reversals towards the downside. The MRI had a top and an extension C, which basically means that the price is overextended in momentum and that a drop is imminent. The stochastic was crossing bearish. And man, I just wish I could short the S&P 500 because I think it would be an amazing trade personally. I don't think 2024 is going to be too good for the stock market overall. But that's what Bitcoin is doing in terms of the fundamental analysis. Jumping back into the TA, what we can see here, of course, now this descending broadening wedge is no longer valid and we can get rid of it and see what new is happening. It's not too easy to draw any pattern now with this with all of these red candles, but we do have a very important lines of support, which we can see here, and it's being held. We can see it's being held, and that's a very bullish sign. If we draw a line of resistance, right, we can extend it all the way there, and now we have kind of an ascending parallel channel, if you want to call it, and we're now at the support, so it could be a good time to open a long position and trade it back to the $45,500 area. But I need to make this disclosure, I need to make this warning. It is going to be an incredible volatile time with the Bitcoin ETFs. If we see an approval, there's a chance we dump, right? There's still a strong chance we dump. If we don't see an approval, there's a definite chance that we dump. I think the dumping scenario is more likely than the pumping scenario if we see the approval, just because of the reason that in these past couple of months, the only reason why we've been expecting volatility at all has been from the same hype around the same news of the ETF. So ever since June of last year, so literally since this candle, all of this volatility has been fueled by the exact same ETF, the stuff that's been going on without an actual ETF approval existing. So that's why a dump towards the downside is possible. I'm not denying this possibility. However, the monthly candle doesn't look too good. So if we zoom into the Bitcoin price over on the monthly, we can see that right now, look, the month just started. So of course, it's not fair to judge it based off of 2 days of progress. But if this candle were to close like this in 28 days, which I doubt it will, it is indicating a reversal at the moment. And I think it would be healthy since we had 1, 2, 3, 4, now 5th candle in the green on the monthly time frame. And the last time that this happened for Bitcoin was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we had 6 candles towards the upside on the 2020 to 2021 rally. And that led to let's see, from the open here, we pumped by 475%. And in relative to that, we dumped by, let's see how much we dumped by. We dumped by approximately 55%. So again, nothing. 470% increase and then a 55% dump. It's nothing. It's really healthy. It's not too big of a deal. So let's just assume that Bitcoin dumps by 15%. 15% would take us back to the 34K level, approximately the 34K level, and there we can collect our 5 billion in liquidity and just continue moving towards the upside. That would be the extremely healthy scenario for Bitcoin, and that is why I do have some limit orders placed at $34,000 to be buying up Bitcoin if we ever make it down to that level. And if we do make it down to that level, this trade will close in profits and we will end up buying Bitcoin. I'm going to cancel this 13,995 and wait straight away for this $34,000 trade. And if we hit it, it would be perfect. I think it would be an amazing entry for Bitcoin. If we don't drop and continue pumping from this level here, then that is also perfectly fine. I will just scale in more to this Bitcoin position. But ladies and gents, that is pretty much it for today's live stream. Let me know in the comment section, do you want me to have a look at any other altcoin other than Ethereum? And I will definitely go through it. So now I'm reading everything now. So let's see. Wow, in Sweden, it's currently negative 41.6 degrees. That is crazy. It's in Dubai, it's like 35 right now. So yeah, I don't know which one I would prefer. I think I would prefer the 35 degrees over the negative 41.6, to be honest. But all the best for you, Nick. That does seem like a very tough climate to survive in. Let's see what's going on. Yeah, I think everybody's, let's have a look at Medieval Empires, because Medieval Empires is a game that I'm incredibly bullish on. And let me see if I can actually open the game live. The last time I tried to do this, it kind of crashed the stream. So hopefully it's not going to do this time around. But you know what? Let's give it a shot. Let's give it a shot. So I'm currently running the game in the background. And if it opens up, it's going to be perfect. Then I can have a look into my favorite GameFi game at the moment. It's super addictive. And I'm trying to level up to Town Hall 13. I'm super close. And I sent an invite to everyone that won the giveaway, by the way, but nobody's joined so far, which is, I think you're missing out. I would definitely join for free if I had the opportunity to, and then we can play along together on my land over on Medieval Empires. But there we go. Now it has loaded up. So let me see if it's going to work. Please work. I think it's going to, there we go. There we go. So we loaded up Medieval Empires. Nice, my heroes just finished their trading. Let's go, let's go. That's awesome. So now we have higher tier heroes to actually lead our armies, and we can do more damage when fighting against invaders. That's amazing. But if I go zoom out to the world map, you can see that I actually invited so many of you, but only one of you guys joined. I will give this guy a massive, massive shout out. Jean Drebed. Dude, massive shout out. You are a legend for joining the land. If you leave me your UID for the Medieval Empires, for your Medieval Empires account on this live stream, I will also add you to the remainder of this land, and then we can play together. It would be awesome to just kind of have a competition together as the Crypto Kids squad. But guys, that is pretty much it for the Bitcoin update. I am incredibly late to go to bed. I do not know how I will wake up tomorrow morning for school. Maybe I'll have a look at XRP. You know what? Everybody's saying XRP. Let's have a look at XRP and then we'll end it off. So if I jump into the charts once more, we can go to the chart of XRP instead of Ethereum here, XRP USDT. See what's going on there. What is the damage? Okay, it's not terrible damage, to be honest with you. It's not too crazy. And as a matter of fact, we're still in this cup and handle pattern for XRP. Oh no, I lost it. XRP. USDT, let's go back. Binance. If we get rid of this cup and we get rid of this handle because it's no longer valid, we still are in this cup and handle pattern because this is the kind of handle of it, right? So we can see the handle there and we can see the cup. And if we break out of this line of resistance at approximately 65 cents, we can pump to. Let me just do some TA over here and give you the target. Boom. Wow, this is crazy TA. This is the type of TA that you see on Wall Street. You know, all of those Wall Street movies where you know, you have all these screens and whatever. This is the type of TA you're seeing right now. We can see the target is approximately at $1. So that could be an interesting trade for XRP. I would set it to as my take profit at $1. That is a lot of sentimental resistance, psychological resistance. Maybe at even 94 cents would be a better line to take profits. So if I open this position, breaking out from, you know what, let's give it the benefit of the doubt. Let's say once we break out from 62 cents, we may take profit at here at approximately 94 cents. That's going to give us a 51% win. And if I put my stop loss there, we can even put it tighter if we see the breakout. Yeah, I think here would be cool. So basically you'd be risking approximately 435 XRP to make 3,193 XRP, which I don't think is bad at all. And if you would like to take that trade, you can go over to Bitflex and trade it too. There is XRP offered over on Bitflex. If you just go here, you can click XRP and set your trades. And if you want to sign up, you can go to the description below and sign up using this link to get up to $88,888 worth in prizes and bonuses. And I have exactly the video here on how to redeem $68,000 worth of it. But if we don't have any other requests, I'm going to end the stream here. AVAX, Uniswap. Okay, look, I think let's go over this in the next video. But for now, I'll end it off here. Guys, thank you so much for watching this live stream. I appreciate all of your attendance. Have a beautiful night. There's no need to be afraid. Even if Bitcoin dumps to $34,000 tomorrow, it is fine. It's okay. It's just going to give us the opportunity to buy up Bitcoin and altcoins at a cheaper price. Do not make the mistake, from my experience, of course, not financial advice, from my experience, I've made the mistake that Bitcoin is going to drop further, and that's when I'm going to buy Bitcoin. Oh, Bitcoin dropped 10%. You know what? It may drop another 5%. So I'll just wait for that another 5% drop. But Bitcoin never does that, right? We see the drop, and then if you buy in, well, that's your chance. If you don't buy in, then you've missed it. And if you do end up catching this opportunity, just try DCing in. And if it works out, it works out over the long period of time. If you're not using derivatives trading, if you're buying up spot, then there's not really a way to lose if you believe in Bitcoin in the long run and you believe that it can reach $1 million, etc. Then any price that you buy Bitcoin at below 100K is, I think, a pretty decent price for it. But ladies and gents, that is it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Take care, everyone, and I will see you all in the next video very soon. Take care, guys. Have a beautiful night, and bye-bye.